I was taping up the last box in the living room of our brand new house. Liam and I finally here, 29 and 30, standing in a space we had worked so hard to create. The sunlight hit the kitchen just right, and I could feel excitement buzzing through me, imagining friends and family filling the rooms. My phone buzzed, and for a moment, pure joy until I saw her name, Mom. One call later, and that joy twisted into disbelief. She wanted me to cancel the housewarming. Just like that. I stared at my phone, my hand trembling slightly as Brenda's words echoed in my ear. Cancel the housewarming. For Chloe, my first instinct was to laugh, thinking it had to be some kind of joke. But no, her voice was flat cold and completely unwavering. She had just gotten a small role in a local commercial, and that apparently trumped everything Liam and I had worked for. I felt that old familiar anger rise, the one that always settled like a cold weight in my chest. I tried to reason with her. Mom, we've been planning this for months. We've started buying things. I can't just cancel because Chloe got a commercial. There was that heavy sigh, the one that always came when I dared to push back. Don't be so selfish, she said. It's the same guest, just a different party. Reschedule your little house thing. I felt my jaw tighten. No way, Mom. This is our house. Our home. I am not canceling. End of story. And with that, I hung up the phone, slipping from my hand onto the cardboard box beneath me. I sank down onto the edge of a box, staring at the floor, letting the rush of old memories crash over me. Chloe first, me second. It had always been that way. College graduation flashed in my mind. I had been the first in our immediate family to finish a 4-year degree, but my parents arrived 2 hours late, stayed 20 minutes, snapped a few photos, and were gone. Meanwhile, Chloe's basic PR internship had earned a 3-day Vegas trip with friends, fully funded by them. That was the difference. Minor victories for her were monumental events, while my real achievements barely registered. Liam walked in, then his calm presence grounding me. He didn't need me to explain. He just knew. Brenda, I mouthed, and he nodded. I told him everything. The phone call, the unfair comparisons, the frustration of always being second. His jaw tightened, and he pulled me into a hug, firm and steady. We are not canceling anything, he said. This is your home, your celebration. I leaned against him, taking comfort in his unwavering support. But I couldn't shake the question that lingered in the corners of my mind. Why couldn't they ever put me? First, Liam's hand tapped my nose, a small grounding gesture. Because they're clueless, he said. But I put you first, always. For the first time in a long time, I felt a flicker of clarity. It wasn't just about a party, it was about the roles we were forced into, the favoritism that had shaped our family for years. Chloe was the golden child, I was the afterthought, the one whose victories barely mattered. And in that moment, sitting on a cardboard box, surrounded by half-packed boxes and sunlight, I made a quiet vow I would not let their outdated hierarchy dictate my joy or my home. The next morning, I was sipping coffee at our kitchen island, determined to push Brenda's demand out of my mind, when my phone buzzed. It was Megan, my cousin, and her voice sounded strange, hesitant. Rashima, is everything okay with the new house, she asked, and I laughed lightly, brushing it off. Of course it's okay. Why wouldn't it be? But the pause that followed was heavy, uneasy, and then she dropped it. Aunt Brenda called my mom last night. She said you have to cancel the party because the inspector found serious foundation issues and the house isn't safe to live in. My stomach sank. I felt the blood drain from my face. That was impossibly cruel. I'm an architect. I know structures, foundations, everything that keeps a building standing. And here was a claim so precise, so pointed, it wasn't just a rumor, it was an attack, designed to undermine every ounce of my professional credibility. It wasn't about a party anymore. It was about me, about painting me as incompetent in a space I knew intimately, a house I had poured myself into. "Oh, Megan, that's a complete lie," I said, my voice trembling disbelief, lacing each word. "The house is perfect. Mom is angry. She's trying to control me." There was a long, quiet pause on the line before Megan whispered, "I'm so sorry. I had no idea." I hung up slowly, sitting in stunned silence, coffee cooling in my hands. Moments later, Liam walked in, carrying 2 mugs, his brow furrowed when he saw my expression. "What did she do now?" he asked quietly. I explained the foundation lie, feeling the cold weight of betrayal settle in my chest. Liam sat down beside me, taking my hands, steadying me. "I know it's hard to understand," he said, "but you're trying to find logic in something that isn't logical. It's not about you, not really. It's about her." And then it clicked. The golden child, the scapegoat. Chloe had always been the mirror for Brenda, reflecting everything she wanted to be seen as a perfect mother, proud and successful. Minor victories for Chloe became evidence of Brenda's own brilliance, while my independence, my career, my stable life with Liam threatened that reflection. I was the container for all Brenda couldn't stand about herself, the one whose success could not exist without her. Feeling slighted, this wasn't just family favoritism, it was calculated, relentless, and cruel. A surge of emotions collided inside me: hurt, disbelief, rage, and then determination began to rise, replacing the cold ache. I wasn't going to allow this manipulation to succeed. The foundation of our house, both literal and metaphorical, was solid. I had earned every bit of this life. No lie, no family dynamic, no calculated sabotage was going to rob me of it. Sitting there with Liam, feeling his unwavering support, I realized I had a choice. I could succumb to their games, or I could take control. And in that moment, the hurt transformed. It became fuel. It became clarity. I would protect what we had built, and I would not let the shadows of my family's favoritism dictate my happiness or our home. Liam and I spent the entire evening putting out fires that weren't even ours to begin with. We called relatives, explaining the ridiculous rumor about the foundation, sending them photos of the inspection report. Each email carefully worded to squash the lie before it could spread further. I drafted social media posts with clear evidence, making sure our friends and family knew the house was perfectly safe. Every click, every sent message felt like armor against the cruelty that had been thrown our way. The night before the party, I barely slept. Boxes still cluttered the living room, the scent of fresh paint mingling with the nervous tension in the air. I kept imagining empty rooms, a crowd of friends who had been scared off by a baseless rumor, and my stomach twisted. Liam's presence was the only constant comfort. He kept checking and handing me coffee, squeezing my shoulder, grounding me when my mind threatened to spiral. When the day finally arrived, I took a deep breath before opening the front door. My nerves dissolved instantly. The house was alive with laughter and chatter. Friends filled the kitchen, spilling out onto the patio, their smiles radiant. The relief was almost overwhelming. It wasn't just a crowd, it was proof that the world didn't believe Brenda's lie. Every familiar face, every laugh reminded me that our hard work and joy were real. In the midst of the celebration, my grandmother Esther quietly motioned me into the study. She closed the door behind us and took my hands in hers. Her grip was strong despite her age, her eyes twinkling with knowing pride. "I know what Brenda did," she said softly. "She's always been jealous of you, even when you were little." I felt a warmth spread through me, a sense of having a secret ally who had been watching, understanding, supporting me without needing to interfere in front of everyone. That small, quiet acknowledgement from her gave me a sense of strength I hadn't realized I needed. The party wasn't just a celebration of a new home. It was a victory over the manipulation, a reclamation of our joy. Every laugh, every toast, every hug reinforced the truth. I was surrounded by people who saw me for who I truly was, not the distorted reflection Brenda tried to cast. And in that moment, I finally allowed myself to breathe, to enjoy the life Liam and I had built together. Fully and without hesitation. The day after the housewarming, the storm didn't end. It just shifted. My phone buzzed relentlessly. First Brenda, her voice screeching with outrage. She accused me of ruining Chloe's moment, demanded I take responsibility for her disappointment, and spewed every familiar line about family coming first. My patience, which had been stretched thin, began to fray, but I refused to rise to the bait. Then came Chloe, her text sharp and venomous. "Are you happy now? You ruined everything for me. I'm going to make you pay for this humiliation." Liam's face darkened as he read the message over my shoulder, his hand finding mine. "She can't be serious," he muttered, but I knew better. This wasn't just sibling rivalry. It was an escalation, a calculated attack fueled by obsession. Then came a lifeline, a call that felt almost miraculous, Liam's mother. Her voice was gentle but firm, concerned, yet filled with certainty. She explained that earlier that day, she and Liam's father had received a bizarre call from a young woman claiming to be Chloe. She insisted I was cheating, that she had proof, and that they needed to warn their son. I felt like I'd been hit. My cheeks burned, my heart raced, the betrayal of even imagining such a lie from my sister cutting deep. But the relief came almost immediately. Liam's mother continued telling me they didn't believe a word. They had blocked the number and assured me of their trust and support, unwavering and complete. I felt a rush of gratitude so intense, it nearly knocked me off balance. Relief mixed with anger. How could Chloe be so cruel, so relentless? Sitting there with Liam, I let the emotions wash over me, feeling the weight of years of family toxicity press against my chest. And then clarity emerged from the chaos. This wasn't about me personally. It was about Chloe's obsession, her need to assert control, to manipulate, to attack. It was her agenda, her distorted sense of justice. I wasn't failing. I hadn't done anything wrong. The toxicity wasn't mine to bear it. It belonged to her, to the dynamic she perpetuated, and to the unresolved patterns in my family. In that moment, gratitude for allies and anger toward manipulators intertwined. And I realized that understanding the true source of the problem was the first step in reclaiming my peace, my space, and my life. Weeks later, just when I thought the house drama was behind me, a new kind of storm hit, one that I couldn't ignore. I was at my architecture firm preparing for a critical presentation with a potential client. The kind of project that could elevate my career to a whole new level. My boss, usually confident and measured, called me into his office, and the moment I saw his expression, my stomach clenched. He didn't mince words. On his screen were 3 new 1-star reviews, anonymous, posted under different accounts, targeting my work and my firm's credibility. My hands went cold as I read the words, "This firm is unreliable." Their lead architect seems promising but drops the ball. Serious concerns about structural integrity, avoid at all costs. It was almost laughable if it weren't terrifying. Structural issues, the same exact lie my mother had peddled about our house, now weaponized against my career. My boss looked away, rubbing his temples. "I don't know who's behind this," he admitted, but the client meeting had already been postponed, citing a reputational risk. My heart sank. This wasn't a personal attack anymore. This was professional sabotage. My work, my reputation, the years I had built up, all threatened by something so deliberate, so precise. I could barely breathe. It hit me then. Chloe. Her PR background, her knowledge of language, strategy, influence, she had weaponized her skills to attack me. And she was good at it. Too good. It wasn't random. It was calculated, personal, and terrifyingly effective. But justice has a way of catching up. Over the next days, her behavior at her PR firm began to unravel. She became so consumed with targeting me that she neglected her real clients, misusing company resources, posting drafts from work accounts, even billing hours for clients she wasn't assigned to. Her boss, a sharp and observant woman in her 50s, noticed irregularities and conducted a quiet investigation. The evidence was damning: spreadsheets detailing contacts, drafts of fake reviews, her own PR tools used to sabotage another person's reputation. The confrontation was swift. Chloe was called in, faced with the proof of her misconduct. Her boss didn't hold back, citing not just poor performance, but gross ethical violations and the misuse of company resources. She was terminated on the spot, her promising career derailed by the very tools she had used to attempt to destroy mine. There was a certain poetic justice in it, a harsh irony that the skills she wielded for sabotage led to her downfall. Sitting back at my desk, I felt a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and vindication. The attack had been serious, the fear real, but the reckoning had come. Chloe had tried to destroy what I had built, and in doing so, she had undone herself. It was a brutal lesson in the consequences of obsession and cruelty, and I felt a quiet sense of closure settling over me as I began to reclaim the space that had been threatened. After Chloe's firing life finally settled into a rhythm that felt ours, Liam and I spent quiet mornings in the sunlit kitchen, sipping coffee and laughing over small, ordinary things. The house no longer carried the weight of accusations and sabotage. It felt like a sanctuary. We threw ourselves into planning our wedding, not as a frantic, stressful checklist, but with genuine excitement. Each invitation, each decision felt like a celebration of what we had built together, a life crafted with care and love. One evening, as I sat at the dining table surrounded by cream-colored envelopes and neatly stacked lists, I froze at the bottom of the pile. 3 names remained: Brenda, Mark, and Chloe. My hand hovered over the first envelope, and a familiar wave of guilt rose. The years of trying to please, the countless attempts to earn their approval, their love, their recognition. I could feel it all in that moment, the pressure to maintain a bond that had never been fair, never been reciprocal. Liam came over, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. I looked at him, my voice barely a whisper. "I don't think I can." And he nodded, simple, steady understanding. The choice was mine. It wasn't cruelty, it wasn't failure, it was self-preservation. It was finally putting the people who mattered, the people who had supported and believed in me, ahead of those who had tried to tear me down. I picked up the 3 blank invitations, walking over to the paper shredder in our home office. Each envelope slid into the machine, the whirring sound punctuating the liberation I felt. It was final, but not cruel. It was necessary. Blood alone does not demand loyalty, and this act was proof that the family we choose, the relationships we nurture, hold far more weight than those imposed by birth. Standing there, I felt a profound sense of empowerment. For decades, I had tried to earn a seat at a table where I was never truly welcome. Now, I was setting my own table. The air in the office felt lighter, freer, the weight of obligation lifting. This was the moment I claimed my peace, my boundaries, and my life. Choosing who belongs in your inner circle isn't betrayal, it's survival. And in that simple, quiet act, I felt a clarity I hadn't known I could have, that the bonds we actively choose are infinitely stronger than those we are simply born into. With Liam by my side, I knew we had built our own foundation, solid, unshakable, and entirely ours. The morning of our wedding dawned calm and bright sunlight spilling over the backyard we had carefully prepared. The air was fragrant with blooming flowers, and the soft hum of friends chatting created a gentle soundtrack to the day. There was no pomp, no overwhelming spectacle, just intimacy and warmth. I could feel every worry from the past months melting away as Liam and I moved through the final preparations, our hands, exchanging quiet smiles that spoke of shared history and deep trust. As guests began to arrive, I watched their faces light up with genuine joy. My grandmother Esther, who had quietly championed me all these years, was there, dabbing at her eyes with a delicate handkerchief, pride and love radiating from her. My Uncle Robert gave Liam a thumbs up, his smile broad and unwavering. Megan, my cousin, beamed as she hugged me her support, a reminder of the connections that truly mattered. Even Liam's parents, once cautious, now looked at me with such open pride. It felt like a warm embrace wrapping around my heart. Standing beneath the simple archway we had built together, I looked out over the gathering and felt a profound sense of peace. No one was there to challenge me. No one was there to compete for attention or to manipulate the moment. The housewarming party from months ago felt like a distant memory, a necessary step that had led us here. That night had been about proving ourselves, defending our joy, and establishing our boundaries. Today was the fruition of that journey, a celebration of a life untethered from the toxicity that once loomed over me. As I reached Liam and took his hands, I realized the symbolism of what we were creating, a family built on choice, on respect, on shared values, and mutual support. This was more than a ceremony. It was a declaration of the life we were claiming, a foundation as solid as the home we had built and defended together. Every vow, every smile, every laugh reinforced the truth that we were not defined by the chaos of others' expectations. Our happiness was ours to shape. Later, during our first dance on the patio, I rested my head against Liam's shoulder, feeling the rhythm of the day settle into me. The sun dipped gently, casting long, warm shadows, and I thought about the months of struggle and triumph that had led to this quiet joy. From housewarming sabotage to professional attacks from toxic family games to asserting my boundaries, every challenge had shaped this moment. And now, surrounded by people who truly cared, I felt a deep, unwavering sense of self-empowerment. This day marked a fresh start, not just for our marriage, but for our lives together. It was a testament to resilience, to love, to choosing the people and relationships that nurture rather than diminish. As we swayed gently under the fading sunlight, I knew that this was where I belonged fully and without hesitation. With Liam by my side, the future felt limitless, and for the first time in a long while, I was not afraid to step into it. Life isn't always defined by the family we're born into, but by the connections we choose and the boundaries we set. Rashima's journey reminds us that claiming your joy, standing firm against toxicity, and building your own foundation can lead to true freedom and empowerment. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on your own path and the people who lift you up. And if you want to follow more stories of courage and growth, consider liking or subscribing.